Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta with the latest in business here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. A major legal blow for internet giant Google as a U.S. judge ruled they violated the antitrust law. This as Google was found to have spent billions of U.S. dollars to create an illegal monopoly to become the world's default search engine. In 2021 alone, Google supposedly paid $26.3 billion U.S. dollars to ensure that its search engine was the default on smartphones and web browsers to maintain its market dominance. This latest ruling paves the way for a second trial to determine potential fixes, which could possibly include breaking up Google's parent firm, Alphabet. The tech giant, however, plans to appeal the ruling. On to earnings data. Engineering conglomerate DMCI Holdings sees its bottom line decline by 29% in the first half of the year. The company reported a net income of 11.1 billion pesos, down from 15.6 billion in the same period in 2023. This as their second quarter earnings fell 32% to 5.5 billion pesos from 8.1 billion pesos year on year. DMCI attributed the drop to the sluggish performances of their energy, real estate, and nickel mining subsidiaries. Meanwhile, rental giant Airbnb's net income drops in the second quarter, down 15% to $555 million from $650 million in the same period last year. This comes as more and more Americans limit travel amid concerns over the health of the U.S. economy. Elsewhere in the world, oil giant Saudi Aramco's net profit takes a hit in the second quarter, with their earnings down 3.4% to $29.1 billion on the back of lower crude volumes and softer refining margins. Despite the dip, they, however, kept their generous dividend policy in place, with $31 billion declared in payouts for the second quarter. Let's now take a look at the figures at the Philippine Stock Exchange. After ending flat yesterday, the local bourse is now marginally higher. The PSEI index is up by about 0.4% to 64.61. The broader oil shares up by as much as well, up by 0.4% to 35.35. Now, the financials, industrial holding firms, services, and property sectors are in the green, while the mining and oil is lower, down marginally, down by 0.2%, while the financials up by 0.2%, industrials up by 0.4%, holding firms up by 0.4%, services up by 0.3%, and the property sector is up by 0.9%. Now, we'll be taking a look at how U.S. markets did overnight in a few minutes. Now let's take a look at the Philippine Stock Exchange again. After ending flat yesterday, we're looking at a lot of green on the market today, except for maybe the mining and oil sector. That's down by 0.2%. Again, the PSE index is up by 0.4% to 64.61, and the all shares index up by 0.4% to 35.35. Now, back to the U.S. markets. U.S. stocks rebound from a global market sell-off, ending sharply higher Tuesday. All indices were up as investors jumped back into the market a day after Monday's dramatic sell-off. The recovery was boosted by the recent comments of Federal Reserve officials easing fears of a recession. U.S. central bank policymakers earlier rejected the idea that the weaker-than-expected jobs data in July means that the economy is headed for a recession. But they also said that the Fed will need to cut interest rates in order to prevent one.
The Monday sell-off was certainly greater than any of us would have anticipated. So sure, you've had some weaker economic data points. The jobs report on Friday was well below expectations. You're seeing consumer delinquencies starting to build up. You're seeing fiscal stimulus wearing off. So there are a number of factors that would suggest to us that the global economy, the U.S. included, is going to slow down a little bit. And so given how strong the markets have been, and hey, we're on a 15-year bull market. And year to date, the numbers have been very strong. So to get a bit of a sell-off, to get a little bit of an unwind on that, is really not too surprising. Now, it was a little bit more, it was exacerbated by some other factors, but you're going to have periods like this given the strength in the markets in the last several years.
And before we go, let's take a look at the foreign exchange market. As of 10:15 a.m., the peso opened at 57.70, strengthening slightly from its previous close of 57.81. Now, right now, it's trading at a range of between 57.67 and 57.75. And those were the latest business stories this hour. I'm Maiki Oreta. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel, always on top.